got some calories in me.
Like a human again.
Yeah, dude.
It's funny what a good meal will do.
I felt alive. Now I feel alive and satiated.
Yeah, you look healthy.
I feel better than, like when I'm using my body the way it's meant to be used, like.
That's dope.
Feels good.
Hell yeah. For those at home, I have my booking agent, Tony Caferro, in the house. And he is currently on a cross-country bike ride of epic proportion.
Yeah.
And and so we're going to use this opportunity to talk about that and a bunch of other things. But yeah, so you started you say New Orleans or Mississippi?
Started in New Orleans, yeah. Shipped the bicycle down there, flew myself down there.
Oh, okay. And then you're biking back to Buffalo.
Yeah. I've done this a lot, and I always think that if I were to ever try to bike somewhere from like my house, like, hey, I'm gonna leave my house and go to Columbus.
Yeah.
By day 2, I'd be like, fuck this, I'm turning around. I go home. I got a couch, I got Netflix, I got a dog and a girl. Yeah.
So that's why you ship the bike.
So I got the
no choice,
yep.
One-way ticket.
Yep, and it's cooler every moment because I'm riding north.
Yeah,
so every moment because it was 110 in New Orleans when I started. So.
That's dope. How many total miles is it?
It's like 1,108 today.
Okay.
Yeah, up to today. So I've taken one day off so far. So I've rode 15 out of 16 days.
And you've got you think about 4 to 5 more days, or you think another
I got about
week or
400 some miles left.
Okay.
Week
plus maybe a week to 2
No,
weeks.
I'm thinking 6 riding days. I should do 5 riding days if the weather is what I can't predict.
Yeah.
Like the weather could shorten a day.
So what what made you want to do this? I know
it's not even the first time I've done this.
Yeah. So what was it that you saw that made you, or was it just like, hey, I need a new mountain to climb type of thing?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there was a period in my like late 20s where I didn't have a car.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to go somewhere, and I rode a bike. It wasn't about recreation. It was about, I want to go to Toronto, and normally it's from Buffalo, an hour and a half drive, and it was a 2-day bike ride. Yeah, I'm here. It was actually for a rap show I booked, right? But I was trying to make it a little more fun than that. I was like, all right, I'll see y'all up there. I'm going to leave 2 days early, right? Yeah. And then, the joke was on them because when you're in a city like Toronto, you want to have a bicycle and not a car. Right?
Yeah.
It's a pain in the ass to have a car. And then it grew into a summer job that I would take. It didn't pay very well, but it was in effect as it was a trip leader for a thing called Teen Treks, and it would be me, another adult co-leader, and about 10 to 12 teenagers, 15 to 16. It's like a summer camp almost, and it's the only company in North America that does this with kids. We're fully self-supported. What that means is we have all of our own cooking gear, all of our own sleeping gear. We don't have a car following us. We support ourselves on a bunch of bicycles. And that was a great experience for me because at that time, I didn't really know what I was doing. I had like a $200 Trek mountain bike.
Yeah.
And I had some flip-flops on sometimes or something, right? It's just not
hobbyist.
Yeah. And I'm still not like one of those spandexy bright color superhero looking bicyclists, right? But when you're doing something like this, the right gear is really what it's all about.
Yeah.
And so I was able to experience all these kids failing at things, like all their cheap gear and their cheap bikes not working, and you want something to go wrong, just put a bunch of teenagers together and you'll find out every version that stuff can go wrong.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, well, I don't have any kids. Why I keep doing this year in and year out with kids? I'm going to do myself. And so about 9 years ago, I flew to the state of Washington, shipped my bike, and rode back 3,600 miles across the country. So this is the second biggest in magnitude, but it is 9 years. I'm 9 years older. So
yeah. It's a little bit more difficult now.
I mean, I think I have less of a tolerance for certain things. Like 9 years ago, I would just ride until the sun was going down and then put the tent up behind some abandoned building and sleep, because it doesn't make sense to pay for a campsite when I'm not cooking marshmallows. I'm just, it's remote sleeping. I'm not camping. I'm just going to go to sleep and wake up. Now, and maybe it's because I got, more money, I guess, but not much, but a little more than 9 years ago. I'll just buy that hotel and spend the afternoon in some AC watching some
feels
TV.
good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an adult, you know.
I know the feeling.
I didn't know that about myself though. Like another friend of mine, he's like, "Oh, Tony, you still gonna bring the tent? I just bring my credit card." And I'm thinking, "Man, you pussy! Come on, you punk, right?" You know. And now I'm like, "Yeah,
It sounds similar to touring. How when like we first start, we're like, "Yeah, I'll sleep on the floor. I'll sleep on the couch. It's cool, man."
Yeah.
And then you get about 40, you're like, "Bro, just get the room."
Exactly. Yeah.
Just clean sheets, quiet, my own space. That's it.
That's all I want.
I'm willing to pay for that.
Yeah. It's worth it. I'm at a certain point, and there's so many commonalities between this and touring for music. You know, I did that for so long, just you know, in managing and all of this stuff and background DJing, and there's so many commonalities that have helped me be able to pull this kind of stuff off.
Yeah,
and like we were talking earlier, the real changes are just, I'm not really in cities, you know, it's mostly rural, because biking into cities means you got to go through suburbs, which is risking your life pretty much on a bicycle. And then the physical aspect, I mean, and I know for you as like a you know, performance is a physical toll as well.
Yes.
This is just excruciating, you know, the entire traveling of it is physical too, right? It's not just putting your foot on a gas pedal. I
mean, your bike is 100 pounds, right?
The bike is 45 pounds, and I got about 55 to 60 pounds of gear, depending on how much food and water I have.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So we brung his bike in the house today, you know, and it is heavy. I can confirm.
Two-person operation.
2-person job to get it down the stairs. Yeah, it's heavy. It's like motorcycle weight.
I mean, I have an entire bag of like an oh shit bag, like a bag that I hope I don't have to go into. Wow. Because so many things can go wrong. And of course I have gone into it. I mean, everything that can go wrong.
What the hell is in the bag? Just like tools and things of that nature?
Extra spokes, extra tire, extra tubes, a lot of duct tape. Rain pants. Like raincoat is one thing, but when you got to wear rain pants, it's really raining out. You know? Trying to think, there's a lot of little fix-its, like various, like some brake line,
screwdrivers of various sizes.
Well, I got lots of tools. I mean, they're all like, but I mean, you know, everything, again, it comes down to the gear. So if you get the specialized gear, you're in good shape. Like my tent weighs like, you know, less than 3 pounds.
Okay.
It ain't gonna fit any more than me and a small person next to me, right? It's a one-man tent, but you don't want anything bigger because it's even more weight, you know? So same thing, like my tools are all in like a little like multi-tool. So it's not like I don't have a full screwdriver, just a little fold out.
Okay.
You know, because I got 25 different types of tools that you might need.
Crazy.
So it's just, when you see what's going wrong, you prepare in the best way possible. And I popped a spoke in Mississippi, and that's one of the hardest things to deal with on a bike. It's a broken spoke. Because you break another one, you're hitchhiking. It's done.
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yeah. You cannot ride because the wheel would just break all over, and you know, with 100, with that weight on the back, it's a lot. It's
crazy.
It's different than just getting on your bike and cruising across town.
I haven't experienced that level of biking. I'm very much.
Yo, man, we can head out tomorrow, man.
I think I'm cool, man.
Am I going to do 50 or 100? What do you want to do?
I think I can do about 15. I'm working up to that. My last one I did 12.
There you go.
Last week.
That's a start, though. That's a start.
It's like 6 out, 6 back, man. And I was like, "You're the man now." And then you called me like, "Yeah, man. I'm in Lexington.
Yeah.
You're gonna be home in a couple days.
I'll be there in 2 days.
I'm like, I'm biking across the damn country. I got you. Making me feel small as hell. Bike riding exploits. I ain't shit.
This is just, I keep my sanity, man. This is really like, you know, I think, and you know, maybe it's not for everyone, but I think the overall sort of like message, and I don't do this for any kind of cause. I'm not raising money. I don't do any kind of publicity. I don't have sponsors or anything. But the overall sort of thing is that, you know, we should be getting more uncomfortable. We shouldn't be living in this like comfortable bubble of life all the time. Like, that's not healthy. This is why people can no longer have disagreements without having arguments and fights. You know, like,
it's true.
There's no civility because everyone just stays in their own little world and their thinking is never challenged. And everyone of all walks and all paths is, you know, we're all guilty of this.
It's true.
You know, and so the only way to sort of not go too far down that rabbit hole of that path is to sort of make sure I consistently try to get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, and get outside of that zone and that box that we live in, because it's easy to stay there.
Oh,
and
totally.
it's easy to think that you figured it out, and it's easy to think that they're wrong and I'm right.
Yeah.
And even when you are right and they are wrong, you're still kind of wrong.
Yeah.
You know, because you're missing a moment there to have a conversation with someone and maybe learn something.
Yeah.
You
And
know?
it seems like this is pushing you to learn something about yourself.
Yeah.
What have you learned about yourself?
I learned that there's strength in tears. I'll tell you that. One of the things, and this is not, you didn't ask me this question ahead of time, but I know, like, I'm very good at what I've learned so far, right? And like, there was just days where I was in the hills and it was just rugged and I was in pain. And you remember ISIS, right? So little background, I got a dog in 2002 and named her Isis. And it was a great name until 2014. And I'm in a campground in Idaho, and you can't really yell ISIS because it's now a terrorist group and not an Egyptian cause.
And you look a little Arab.
Yeah, fair enough. Especially when the beard come out, right? Yeah. I told you, I got ancestors, man. I got 4 different grandparents, dude. You don't even want to go there, right? So yeah, that ain't gonna happen, right? So, but the point is, there was a really great dog. She just passed away about 1.5 years ago. So I have some of her ashes in a vial, like strapped to the front of the bike. So she's riding shoddy. Yeah. So there's just a day where I'm like hurting and it's uphill and I got 108 miles in one day and I'm pushing and physically it hurts. And now I'm thinking about my dead dog and I'm hallucinating. I'm having visions about her like strolling beside me. Yeah. Give me that, when are we going to stop running look, right? And I just start bawling. I'm overwhelmed with emotion and I get up that hill. Like I'm going 3 miles an hour up some ridiculous shit. And like there's strength in that, right? And it's a cathartic experience. And doing something like this, especially solo, right? Having this, you get in touch with the natural world and you start moving and you just reach a plane where you're just sort of operating in this frequency that just jives with everything else that's alive, right? And it just, you're overcome with, I have a full range of every emotion available to humanity every single day on this ride. And if there was anything, anyone listening, this is a great thing to try. Like you should do it. Don't be afraid. Start with your 12 miles. Yeah. Go to your next town over and just get a tent and a bike rack and just camp halfway. Yeah. Go from Columbus to Cincy and camp in Xenia. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then turn around and come back and do it again. Just to try it out. I've found that it's about 10 days you really hit that stride where things stop hurting, right? And you get in gear and you're in shape basically. And I'm never in shape to start these things, but you are after about 10 days. Yeah. But there's this feeling that I can't really describe it with words as well. Yeah. But it'll give you every emotion. You will cry and you will laugh and you will I shout out at things that aren't there. I talk to animals. Yeah. And then every single human I make friends with. I'm in the bike path now, this little rail trail in Ohio, and it's used by a lot of people. And I usually try to give every person I acknowledge in life one of 3 things: the nod, the smile, you know what I mean? The hello, right? Yeah. And now I'm giving everyone all 3. So I've been thinking about it. It's kind of like, and I don't really go on Facebook. I don't have a Facebook. This is like going on Facebook in real life. Yeah.
Like before Facebook.
Yeah. Like this is my social media. Like I'm out, this is my social. So I'm out there and I'm just sitting at a shelter yesterday in Xenia on the way here. And there's a dude with a pregnant lady and a bunch of kids. They're eating some fast food under the shelter. It's pouring rain. He pulls up, or I pull up. He looks over, he sees I got a bunch of 7s tattooed on my leg. He decides he wants to just ask about that. And, he got a lot more than that answer, right? And me and Demetrius are friends now. You know what I mean? And that's like, I'm here to make friends, right? So I've made 20 new friends that are much more real friends than Facebook friends.
That's dope.
And I had dinner at a house last night with a family of 6 that I don't know. Well, it's a family of 6 two of the daughters live in other countries. They joined via Skype.
Okay.
And we sat there, and I don't particularly practice any sort of religion at this point, but it was like, say grace, right? So I'm holding strangers' hands, about to eat dinner, and I did it because I'm here making friends, you know? And so it's very much like a social media, and it's a real one. Not only just before faith, it's real. It counts, you know? This is
how the world used to work.
Yeah, and how it still does.
Yeah, outside of...
I think we're just confused into thinking that that's the real world, but there's a lot of people doing what I do. There's a lot of people on bike tours. It's a big thing. Yeah. And there's other versions of what there's people walking across the country meeting people. Yeah. You know, it just travelers in general. You see it when you're on the road on tour, you know, and people are always willing to help you. Yes. You know, and
that's the most powerful part to me. It's like, I mean, you meet the people, and you know, I remember me and Groove having conversations and being like almost overwhelmed at like people's desire to help us, to make sure we got to the destination, or just whatever they had to give, even if from the smallest to the biggest gesture. You know, we've had people loan us entire houses. Oh, you guys are in town, stay at my house, I'll go over my girlfriend or boyfriend's house. And you're just like, you don't have to do that, man. And they do it. But, you know, and you're just like, this is incredible. To that part of it is like you're saying, you don't get that on Facebook.
No, you don't get that on TV.
No.
If you listen to the media, it just makes you think we're all fighting. Yeah. Or at least we have reasons to fight. Right. And we don't. And people, you know, Republican, Democrat, black, white, gay, straight, young, old, it doesn't really matter. Right? Humans, they look out for humans. Yeah. You know, unless you got some sort of mental illness, people are generally all right. You give people peace, and they're going to be generous, you know. And that's, I took a day off in Nashville about a week and a half. I don't remember how long, a week ago maybe. It's not as long as I thought it was, because Kentucky was crazy. But my first day out, I did a short day. I did about 60 miles. Yeah. And I stayed at a guy's house, and he's got a very small house. Turns out he's a minister. We didn't get into his which sect of whatever, but he's doing a lot for this community in on the Tennessee and Kentucky border. The dude put me up in his room and slept on an air mattress in his living room. He brought me to the local restaurant, and he paid for dinner. He brought me there the next morning, and he paid for breakfast. When he found out that my solar charger had bit the dust, he gave me his. Wow. His generosity. I go back into it, man. I have no problem admitting this. I cried like a motherfucker riding away from his house. Just the emotion that the generosity and hospitality that people can provide you, it can be overwhelming. Yes. You know, and for me, I think a lot of the tears from this are just, it's me telling me I need to be more generous. You know, I need to practice this more. And I don't particularly think I'm not a generous person, but that's not the way generosity works. It's like love, right? Like, it doesn't have this capacity to where, oh, it's full, I'm good. Right. Right. It can always be more. And so it's been a really moving experience for sure. You know, that's awesome. And I'm a little older than I was last time. So I think I'm probably a little more in touch with who I am and with my emotions and with where I am in life. So it's got a much more sort of cathartic feeling this time around. You know, it really feels like I'm kind of like things are changing for the better. Not that I was looking for that even, right? I'm actually just trying to get back into running shape. I'm trying to lose 20 pounds.
You said you're at 18 now? You lost
I'm at like 12 to something down. That's good. Yeah, man.
Well, it's still another week.
Yeah, we'll see, man.
You're losing 6 a week.
Look, I haven't had a beer in quite a while. That's a lot of calories.
Yeah, you backsliding with that beer right there.
Sorry. I'll hide it.
But it's all right, you know. Your waistline is like, come on, bro. We had this.
Yo, why you got to choke in the clutch?
No. Final stretch, you came with the brew.
It was calling. I was in Whole Foods. I got distracted by yoga pants.
Man, he was in there for a while long, bro.
Dude, I have not. Like, civilization is confusing.
I still don't understand that about today. I was like, hey, we walked in at the same time. I was like, hey, I'm going to get something from here. I'll meet you over there. We'll eat together. You know.
It is like half an hour later.
Half an hour later. I was like,
lost, dude. I was looking for stuff. Yo, the weirdest part is I don't even have everything I need. I'm like, man, I should have got this and this. Like,
was you doing like comparisons, product comparisons?
Well, the bulk food section is always overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
You get there and there's this wall of stuff, and I got to read all the different trail mix. If it just was just trail mix, I would have been, there's like 6 different versions, right? This is kind of the problem with Whole Foods. You know,
too many options.
Too many, but there's no middle ground. Like, I don't need a bag this big at the
it all
gas
costs
station.
$50.
Yeah, no, I somehow, it's like when you end up in the express line and it's still $60.
Right.
Oh, I got 4 things.
Right.
What the hell?
You don't get out of there for less than 15, 20.
Yeah, it's crazy. But
that's great.
I mean, I on this trip, I've been making sure I'm putting nothing but quality fuel into me.
Yeah.
You can feel the difference.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome. And do you feel like, I guess sometimes I found that when I'm at home, it's harder to get on a routine and stay in shape than when I'm on the road. Originally, I thought it would be the other way around. I thought like, okay, when you travel, it's impossible to eat right. It's impossible to get on a routine. It's impossible. So at home, you got to be super disciplined. But what I found is because we're driving, you're riding every day. Have you found it a little bit easier to get on a routine?
Yeah.
Stick to it?
I think it has to do with like what we're naturally here to do. I think this is just, when you're out on the road touring, that's your natural environment.
Yeah.
So it goes like I was saying, you get into this, you start operating this frequency that just fits with your surroundings and you become efficient. I mean, when I was on tours, I booked most of the best tours while I was on another tour.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it was actually harder for me to convert to being someone who would book your tours in an office.
Yeah.
Or in my case, I'm in a fire station, you know what I mean? At another job or at another location where when I'm out cycling like that, I feel like in rhythm with everything. So like, there's a great routine and it's a lot the same. Everything's got to go back exactly where it came. Because especially on a bike, if I get 5 miles down the road, realize I forgot something crucial, that's 15 miles when you count it up, right? Yeah. Now my 5 miles is 15 miles. That's an hour, at least. So there's very little margin for error. So that routine not only comes naturally, but it's required. Like it won't work without it, and everything, you're like one step away from critical failure. You're so much more remote on a bike than you are in a car, and I mean, on foot, it goes even further down if you're like, Forrest Gump in it, walking across the country.
I couldn't imagine.
But I mean, you've driven some of the stuff where you'll drive for, 40 miles and not see anything.
Yeah.
Now, biking for 40 miles, that's like 4 hours of, you better have enough water.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So everything can be a critical failure. You got to be really focused
crazy
on what is going on right in front of you. Like I was saying earlier to you when I first got here, it's like, I can really only plan 2 or 3 days in advance.
Yeah.
Because there's just too many variables that, it's easy to say, I'm going to fly to New Orleans and bike back. That's the plan, right?
Yeah.
But then where are you actually going any particular day? And when you're in a car again, you can cover, what's the longest drive you've done on a tour? Like
1,100 miles, maybe
straight though. I mean, like
oh, you mean like for one day?
Cities, yeah, in one day, yeah.
Probably 800, 900.
Yeah,
on one day.
That's a lot. Like you can get from one major city to another. Yeah. I can't do that. Right?
Yeah.
I can, 100 miles.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I can't even get from Columbus to Cincinnati in one day.
Crazy.
It's an afternoon for you.
But right? I mean, considering you were doing about 80 miles a day.
I'm covering good distance.
You're making a good.
Yeah. But it's still like, you're in between oases in effect. So you have to be prepared because something goes wrong. You might be out there for a while.
Crazy. It's kind of like a metaphor.
yeah, kind of like one.
For life, you know what I mean? It's like a life. Life is a fucking cross-country bike ride.
It's a weird subculture. And again, it goes on a lot. Like a lot of people do this. A lot of them are retired and foreigners more than anyone, right? There's not, because they have the time, and foreigners have a different perception, I met a guy from Italy. I met him in Vancouver. he took 5 years off his job, which is amazing that you can do that.
Yeah.
He was biking from the tip of Alaska to the tip of Argentina.
Jeez.
With his 5-year vacation. You know what I mean? So,
wow.
So, and I mean, it's a very large subculture, not very large. It's a subculture. It's larger than people think, but it's amazing because you can really, like, I really connect with those people. And there's, there's online communities that we connect with and things like that. And there's a lot of commonalities, and now it's sort of getting a little bastardized. Like there's people out there that'll pay like 10 G's to have like a glamorous glamping version of this sort of thing. Or there's 2 cars following behind them.
Yeah, photo ops.
There are dogs in one of them. And yeah.
Yeah.
And that exists, right? But for everyone else, it's just a never ending challenge of problem solving because things go wrong, and whether you go the wrong way or the weather takes a shit or your knees hurt or you pop a tire or, you run out of food. I mean, it's a lot of things.
It's crazy.
It's fun though.
Yeah.
This is what I would do with my life. If
Technically,
I didn't have to book all your tours, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. So guys, that's why we're here today. This is my booking agent, Tony.
You really know how to pick him.
Yeah. As you guys can see, he's a very interesting dude in his own right. With or without booking me, he'd be doing some interesting, wild ass shit. So today, we want to talk about booking and booking agents. And we have a lot of artists who they are kind of in a stage where they're coming up and they're trying to get their act together. And they feel like management is something they need. Booking agent is something they need, but they don't even necessarily know what it is, what they do, and how to even get one's attention. And so we want to talk about that in this episode, since we have a booking agent here in my house hanging out for a couple of days. And we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
We got you stuck off the realness, the most infamous, you heard of us. Official podcast murderers, the show comes equipped with viewpoints to share. Grown man ideas for all those who care and want to grow, so go ahead and download. Every single week with a brand new episode. You're not alone in this world, cousin, so we share information and honest discussion and keep repping a culture like we supposed to. They spread gossip, but they never come close to. I can hear it inside their tone. They talk about the industry but never left their home. You get laced up with bullet points and such, plus empowering topics that they never would touch. You can put your whole network against the team, but Super Duty Tough Work's the MVP. Most valuable podcast on MP3. Priceless info, but all of it's free. So take these words home and think them through. Super Duty Tough Work is coming at you. You are now listening to Super Duty Tough Work with your host, Blueprint. Raw and uncut. Adult conversations. No shucking, no jiving, and no bullshit.
Okay, folks, we are back. We're back. Super Duty Tough Work here with Tony Caferro, booking agent extraordinaire.
Taking notes.
Yeah, he's taking notes. You might be our most prepared guest, man. Nobody takes notes.
I'm taking notes on your operation so I can go home and start my own podcast.
Okay.
Call it Super Duty Funk Twerk.
Butt twerk.
Yeah.
Super fruity butt twerk.
Yeah, super fruity. Uber fruity butt twerk. Something so bad that it won't catch on.
Right. Yeah, I was listening to Uber fruity butt twerk the other day.
And it ain't no Super Duty Tough Work, I'll tell you that.
No. Sounds like Super Duty Tough Work.
Butt twerk.
Nothing like it.
Oh, wow. That could go in so many different directions.
Okay. So let's get into like some of your history. Because you were a guy who I feel like we talked about off air, we kind of started in kind of different capacities, like running independent labels, and like explain some of your history with like Deep Thinker Records in Buffalo and kind of how that kind of led you to booking.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was I was DJing parties and making tapes in high school, right? I was like that dude. And eventually you run into a few people that want to rap. And at least in the 90s, some of us decided we didn't want to rap, and that would be me. So I naturally took this like role on of the other guy, the guy on the board, or the the guy behind the scenes. By the time I got into college, it had developed into, making actual songs. So we're talking like mid-90s, early mid-90s. And back then, just completing a song was a big deal,
Yes.
Never mind pressing it to vinyl or tape or later CD. And it sort of naturally happened through the internet, actually, because the talent pool in Buffalo, at least that I was exposed to at the time, was limited, right? And maybe it was the neighborhood I was coming up in, or just the way I was going about it. But I connected with dudes over the internet, and a couple of them from Cleveland.
Yeah.
Just over the internet, they end up coming down to Buffalo one day. Like, this is like 96.
Yeah.
Way before internet dating or internet networking.
Yeah.
Right? And so now dudes is driving 3 hours to make music in the studio that I'm building in my mom's basement. This is cool, right? So after that experience, we're like, we should start a label. And, what does that mean in 97? We should start a label. I don't even know if we knew what it meant. And, it certainly doesn't mean what it means now. And for us, it meant it was a bit of a social circle. It was a certain kind of sound that we were going for. And in the end, it was just the actual following through of making and designing and producing product to sell and then performing, right? Which seems really elementary and basic, but it was a big step then, in the time before computers, So, we did our thing for a few years. Eventually it just sort of gravitated to being a much more local thing for me. And so I started focusing on Buffalo acts a lot more than anything else. And then, early 2000s, it sort of all changed for me because it stopped being a social circle so much as it had to become a business and at least something that I can support myself with. And so I kind of collaborated that feeling with some real estate that I purchased, basically a 4-bedroom house with recordings, later what would be a recording studio and an office in the storefront of it, and live touring, right? That was really, the live shows and the actually having a space to rent for both studio time and lodging allowed me to turn Deep Thinker Records into an actual profitable business. And maybe my business degree from UB helped a little bit. And then it just kept evolving and kept evolving and kept evolving. And ultimately, like the level of artists that I was willing to put that sort of investment in as a label was hard to find. It was hard to find. Not being the artist, not ever having my name on stuff, it would get increasingly frustrating because either artists would change their name, which is an incredibly annoying thing, especially when you do it every other year. And so I've literally put out records from the same 6 different records from what would be the same group under 6 different names. Right?
Wow. Yeah, that's terrible for branding.
So I got out of that line of work with it, right? And then like diva artists, like people that just, dude, I just put 20K in. We're on the same side here. Let's chill the fuck out and keep our eyes on the prize. When you take those two off the table, you're left with an incredibly slim talent pool, especially in a city like Buffalo, New York, which is a natural drain to New York City, right?
Yeah.
It's just, everyone wants to go to New York City. And so, not that there aren't. I mean, there's, I shout out to my dude Idris. He's one of the most talented people I've ever met, and he's much more focused on visual art right now than music. But he should make another record.
He's dope. I remember him.
You know what I mean? And he's got a wife and 2 kids. His kids are artistic as hell. His son is trying to get into a school to do really great things. His 16-year-old son has a custom sneaker company, right? So it's so I mean, in various ways, my talent pool in Buffalo just sort of dried up to be able to be the label, right? There's talent, but it wouldn't fit the way we operated. You know what I mean? For one reason or another, it wouldn't work. So I naturally gravitated towards focusing on booking outside of Buffalo.
Okay.
I don't mean, hold on, focusing on booking artists who
were from outside
of Buffalo. Yeah. And that was probably about a year before, and you and I had connected years before, just on coming to Buffalo to play shows and things like that. And, but it was about a year that I got to that point where I was going to just kind of focus on, in effect, income, generating revenue without generating expense.
Yeah.
Because that's
big.
Yeah. When we're talking about business. Yeah. That's, how much money do you got to spend to make that really great record and then publicize it, and then that return comes in and you get it, and there's a lot of artists out there that get it, and they run their own labels as they should. It's incredibly difficult as not the artist,
right?
And you just get into these situations where it's just not working for one way or another. So booking was very natural. I'm very organized. I'm really good with numbers and spreadsheets. I love to travel. So, so I kind of pivot over to that. I started going on some of the tours as well. I mean, I'd always been going on, but now I'd been going on them as a manager, mainly to keep up that network and, and talk to people. And that was all about like a year or two before then you hit me up, which was to just do
like
just
2013
a region. Deleted scenes.
Yep.
It was just like going to be a region.
Yep.
Yeah. And then I plugged you in with Kills and Dukes, and it just ended up becoming a lot more.
Yep.
And then it grew from there. And really then I've used our relationship as a template for every other relationship I have with Count Basie or Substantial or any of these other folks, and that's kind of the whole thing in a nutshell. Yeah. That's 22 years right there. Well, I went to high school. Yeah, I went all the way, so maybe 26 years worth of stuff right there.
Yeah, that's dope. So for the people at home, and I'll let you kind of give your definition. What does a booking agent do?
Simply put, I guess I manage an artist's calendar, and I negotiate the filling of said calendar under the parameters given to me by the talent.
Okay.
I mean, it's obviously a lot more nitty gritty than that. It's a lot of phone calls, a lot of texts, a lot of following up, a lot of wondering why people get back to you and then don't get back to you. That's always the strange one. Oh yeah, I'm all about it.
Ghost.
Now I've called you 10 times. Now I feel like, I got stood up on a Tinder date or something. What? Like, you didn't have to reply. Also, if you changed your mind, you could just tell me. Like, what? Why am I calling you every day now?
Yeah.
So it's a lot of hounding. It's a lot of, small talk. It's a lot of nurturing relationships, which I've found as I get older, it's harder to do. So the ones that I've had that are solid, stay solid.
Yeah.
But those new ones that like, maybe in years past, I'd make sure I just made a phone call every like 6 months to say hello.
Yeah.
It's harder to follow up with that as you get older. And I don't know if it's age or just vast number of contacts.
Yeah, because you always have more. Maybe it gets more difficult.
It's like the idea is people send out Christmas cards every Christmas. It's such a finite thing. Eventually, you're not going to be able to do that.
No.
But it's communication. I guess I communicate on your behalf.
Yeah.
Under whatever guidelines you've given me, and hopefully we get stuff that works. I book the shows, your live performances.
Yes. So when people are trying to book me, they call me. They contact Tony.
Simply put, if you want Blueprint to perform, or even just to show up and sit there and smile. Yeah. If you want to put his name on your schedule, you should get a hold of me.
Right.
He wants to do it himself. He can't. It's not that he doesn't like you.
It's that, he doesn't have the time. Or
he's got podcasts.
He's got things to do. I couldn't do all this if I was doing all my booking still. Podcasts. Well, what I try to tell artists sometimes too about booking agent is that before you get a booking agent, you need to understand booking, at least at a local level, or before you even think you need a booking agent, because that kind of teaches you the roles and responsibilities of booking. So I had a period of like, I want to say 05, from 2005 to like 2000, when I met you, I was booking myself. Prior to that, I had a booking agent, a couple different ones. And then 2000, when I came back on 2011, with the Adventures in Counterculture record, I was booked. Our booking agent we had got absorbed by the bigger agency group.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really have a booking agent. I was just on this agency and no one really gave a fuck. They were just like, yeah, you're cool.
Your
okay.
name on a website.
Yeah. If someone offers us $2,000, we'll book it, but we're not going to try to get you anything. And at that point I had done it for years and where I really understood it. And so by the time I crossed paths with you, we instantly worked well together. And I think that's what people don't really get. They kind of look at it like, I'm just going to sit here and be awesome and a booking agent will approach me. Sometimes that happens, right? If you blow up really large, that can happen. But I'm a believer that like the more involved you are with something, the better you're able to make decisions when they, to recognize opportunities as they arise, because you and I didn't originally say, hey, I'm going to start booking you. But it was like, hey, I've got this many dates. Could you help me with this many? And then by the time we were done with it, we're like, oh, this is dope.
That worked pretty well.
Yeah, let's do this again.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, you can't say enough about the natural organic relationship.
Yeah.
Right. You can't say enough about things being born in, because everything, there's a win-win-win situation in everything. I believe that. There's always a scenario, me and you coming together, someone and someone coming together. And there's always a scenario where both parties can get what they need and like this greater good is being done too.
Yeah.
So I think in our specific case, I think what really did it was that we both believe in like the power of doing it independently.
Yes.
In effect, right? And it goes back to what you said, like being absorbed into that larger agency group roster. It looks great on paper, but it ain't really a healthy relationship.
Not at all.
You know what I mean? Like that's. And some people, and they get trapped in that mentality of like, this is exactly what I need to get to. And anything that isn't that isn't it.
Right.
And that's not reality. Reality is what works in your lane for what you're doing.
Exactly.
And whether that's just a bottom line, am I making enough money to feed my kids? Or is it that you have the feeling of autonomy and creativity, or that you're feeling like you're a priority with someone.
Right.
It manifests in different ways, but ultimately that's sort of the key is that, you and I had the same sort of mindset that it wasn't like this is the lane we're in.
Yeah.
We're going to broaden it as we can, but we're going to operate in it.
Yeah.
As opposed to just keep clawing at something that we don't have. We're going to make sure we're going to nurture what we do have. And that's obviously how you operate. And, and it shows in the way you market to your fan base, right? I mean, they definitely, they are following you. You say jump, they say, how high, right?
Yeah, guys, jump. I need you to jump. Well, yeah, I think what you're right. It comes from a sincere place. Like I've been in the bigger situations and saw that it wasn't what it was cracked up to be. Mm-hmm. And I was like, you know what? I want to tour. And I tried to explain to those booking agents what I wanted to do. And they were just like, they didn't want to do it. And they would ignore shows that would come in because they felt it wasn't enough money to even answer an email. Yeah. And so and I was just like, okay, I'm tired of sending people over here for y'all to like ignore them.
Yeah. And that was the whole deleted scenes vibe. It was going to all those I remember when you pitched me on this, I was like, dude, this is what I'm all about, right? Like Buffalo, where I live is a tertiary market, right? We are a deleted scene.
Yes, let's go there. Yeah, man. So that's dope. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna get into like what you look for in an artist, but we're gonna take a break first, and we'll be right back. What up, everybody? Blueprint here to let you guys know that all 3 of my books are finally back in stock. That means right here, What a Night. This book is back in stock. It's $10. This is a book about the worst shows of my career. That's 10. Word is Blog Volume 1 is back in stock. That's $10. And also, The Making of Adventures in Counterculture. This book is about my Adventures in Counterculture album. If you have the album, you know the album, you should have a book too. That's $10. All 3 of these books are back in stock for $10 each, or you can get all 3 of them for just $25 right now on waitlist.net. That's all I got today. Thanks for your support. Peace.
About my Church of the Spirit of Rick James.
Exactly.
Taking followers.
Yeah. Okay, folks, we are back. Super duty tough work. And this next section, this is like the dope section. Dope. You know, so like what I wanted you to talk about first was like, because everyone wants to be booked, but most people might not know what they need to be doing or who they need to be to get booked by a booking agent. And I'm a firm believer that booking agents are probably always watching. You know what I mean? Even if they're not announcing it, they're peeping the scene, you know, and then as they see things bubble, those relationships start to form. And so I had you kind of come up with like 5 things that you look for in an artist you book. So what's number 1?
Number 1 is, and it should be obvious, but sometimes it isn't, is the live performance. Is
what you do on stage.
Yeah. How does that translate? And it's real funny because it that completely flies in the face of the idea of the demo.
Yes.
I don't want
don't
your
send me
music.
a demo.
Yeah, dude. Give me a ticket to your show when I'm in town. Right?
Yeah.
Because that's, you might be able to make a great album. It doesn't mean anything if I'm booking your shows if you can't translate that on stage into a performance. And for me, for what I'm looking for, it's a performance that can transcend the audience. And what I mean by that is you can go to Moscow, Idaho and play to all those cowboys out there.
Yeah.
And then you can go to a club in East St. Louis and then an art gallery in Jacksonville, Florida. And every single time you're going to get, and I mean you, and I'm saying this too, you're going to get potentially a room of people that don't know who you are, and you'll play the places that do know you, but you'll go to places where no one knows who you are, and by the end of that performance have a room of fans through that live performance. If you can't do that, we're done. That should be the first. If you're listening at home, get a live performance together that can convert anyone to becoming a fan,
because they also have to convert booking agents.
Yeah,
people who are going to be pitching them.
I would, and again, I would be there in the crowd, testing that. Like I would be there as someone who doesn't know who you are, waiting to see whether you can turn me into a fan. Yeah. So,
and are you in the? Not I'm assuming you have been in a room for certain people who, and maybe it went good, maybe it went well. And you're just like, have you ever been in a situation where you went there and they didn't? You were disappointed, like in the first stage show.
Oh yeah. Plenty of times people did not do. I don't know how many times I've actually shown up to somewhere and expected it to be great and it was great. Usually when it's great, I didn't see it coming. Yeah. And usually when I thought it might be great, it was a little bit lackluster. Yeah. You know, and I have a real high stage show critical level. Like I can listen to a recorded record and generally appreciate it. Yeah. But a good live show, you know, I very often go outside after the first song. You know,
it makes sense, especially in hip hop. Yeah, I mean, we do have a ways to go in this genre, and I think that's 100% accurate. You know, and so it ends up being a situation where like a lot of people think, like you're saying, I just need the record, but you're not only watching for yourself, you're watching what other people in the room are thinking too, right?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at how is are they winning everyone over?
Yeah. That's crazy.
And it usually happens. That's why I mean, as much as I like to be in the front row, I was always a front row cat. Yeah, like standing there and trying to be that dude with the hand up. Energy. Now I gotta be in the back room because I gotta see because I can't be the energy. They gotta be the energy. So now I'm the back room with the cat, and I'm like, this is my role. I guess this is not. I'd rather be up there. Like, getting
that's
excited.
But, now, what you said about inviting you to shows, that's dope. That you're letting it known that you will go check someone out. Yeah, and it's not like we're ignoring you. You'll say, I'm going to give you a chance.
Yeah, just tell me when you're playing.
Yeah,
tell me when you're playing, and if I can make it, I'll be there. And if I can't, it's just schedule. Tell me another time, right? And why are you even looking for a booking agent if you ain't playing shows?
That's real.
Like in your own city. That's real. You know what I mean? Because I can't snap my fingers. Right? You need to be able to at least tour your own city. Right? If you can't do that, like So that is number one though, the live show.
It makes perfect sense. Like I've always kind of looked at it like that too. Like at certain times in my career, I've been like, especially once, like right after the Adventures in Counterculture era, I was like, you know what, my stage show, now that I'm playing more and doing more stuff on stage, I finally have a stage show where I can play in front of anybody, and I can convert people who had no idea, even if they're not hip hop fans, to what I'm doing.
Yep.
And that's when I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna just hit the road.
Yep. That's the crucial element right there though. Yeah. It really is. Like it doesn't make sense to go on the road until you can convert everyone.
Yes.
Cause and you've seen it, you go out, you don't know what you're going to get. It's a mixed bag every single tour.
Yeah.
Full shows, not so full shows, this kind of crowd, this kind of setting. You can't.
Yeah. You don't know.
You better be able to rock it all. If it's 7 people,
true.
you better sell 7 copies.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true. Okay. Number 2
I wrote is, I look for an artist that has goals and a focus. So
okay.
It seems real simple. And we used to do this, we'd field requests for stuff and there was like a little questionnaire. And one is list 3 goals that you have for yourself in the industry.
Okay.
And I don't necessarily judge what the goals are. It's just, can you actually do that? And you'd be surprised at how people just, they don't think about their career enough to set 3 goals, and they could be simple. I just want to win a Grammy, or I just want to tour California.
Right.
Or I just want
to make a living off of my art.
Yeah. Or I just want my stuff available on iTunes. It could be something big, something small. Yeah. Any kind of goal, write them down and have them so that you can answer that question.
Yeah. It
shows that you have a focus and you're not just grinding without purpose.
Yeah. And it makes sense if you're trying to enlist others to help you. How are you going to enlist? How are you going to make them excited if you don't even have?
How can I help you if you can't tell me in what way and what help would be defined as? Like, I'm trying to get you where?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's the goal? You trying to be on MTV? Say it. Yeah. Because then I might say, that's not really my thing. I can't help you with that.
Yeah.
So what are your goals? It lets me know if you do have goals, and it lets me know if I can even help you with them. Because it's not like I'm not getting anyone on the radio anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. It would make me think that the lack of goals would kind of set the tone for people to be disappointed even when they don't really have the reason to be.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if I don't have a goal and I'm just like, book me.
Mm-hmm.
You book me according to what has worked prior, maybe for another artist. But to me, I'm thinking I need to be playing atmosphere size rooms, or I need to be playing whatever, just rooms with seating, whatever the expectation may be. If I don't know where I'm going, no matter what you do, I'm going to be disappointed. Right.
Yep. Yeah. And probably disappointed at me.
Yeah. I'm mad at you. Like, man, how could he do this to me? I'm going to go into victim mode when I really didn't have a goal.
Yeah. And that's, again, this all comes from years of experience operating as a label, right?
Yeah.
It's really common in that sort of relationship, right? Where it's like, now I'm the one responsible for all of this 360 of your career.
Yes.
It's real easy to take the blame for it all. So when I start moving into purely booking, it's crucial that, hey, we're really clear on whether I can even help you or not.
Yes.
'Cause I'm not here to just have fingers pointed at me, and I'm not here to point fingers at you, right? We're gonna try something, and hopefully it works. You know, I mean, we're obviously in an industry that, the odds are stacked against it. I mean,
no guarantees out there.
Not tall enough to play basketball, so here we are.
Right. Yeah, that's real. That's real. So okay. So number 3, what's
number 3? I put. I was thinking about it. So, a certain level of work ethic and discipline.
Okay.
So I think as we go down the line, and I think 1 and then 5 are kind of in categories now, but 2, 3, 4 can kind of operate in any order.
Okay.
But so if you have the talent would be number 1, right? The live show. What are you applying it?
Yes.
Because I mean, I'm sure some of the most talented people I met are just straight up lazy.
That's a fact.
And I don't know if it's that they don't like working, but they're just not disciplined to make this thing that they're good.
It comes too easy to them.
Yeah. Like, it's got to get a notebook and a schedule, make it work somehow. Make it, if you wanted to make some money, it's going to have to become a job,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not always going to be, it shouldn't be something you stress,
Yeah.
but it's not always going to just be fun and games either. It's going to take a little bit of seriousness. And so, and a lot of that comes down to like alcohol and weed too, right? Like they don't have any sober moments to put, there's no discipline to say, yo, we're on the road.
Yes.
This ain't really going to fly getting drunk every night.
Right.
You know what I mean? It might for a few years,
Yeah.
but and you know, it's not a long-term strategy that is not, it's not going to sustain itself. Your health is going to fail you.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And plenty of other ways. It could be women. It could be, it could just be,
or just willingness to even do the long tour.
Yeah.
Or the tour when you've got a record that, you know, you should be behind.
Yeah. The discipline to go out on the road and suffer on the road. Yeah.
Because you might have to do that multiple times before it really sticks and takes off.
Yeah. So a lot of people aren't really willing to put in that sort of work, that super duty tough work.
Yeah. That's why we here.
I can't help it, man. I love the phrase, right? It sounds like my bike ride to me. You know, it sounds like my job at home at the fire department.
That's why you're a guest today. That's why you're a guest. It all works together, man. It's like, perfect guest for the show this week. But the discipline thing is too, I see it even like locally, you know, like a lot of artists locally. I think of the time when we first started coming up, you know, as Weightless, we were disciplined enough. Like we would come to shows, we would always have the merch table, we would rehearse, we would know how long we're playing, we might make sure we dressed a certain way, we might we all went out as a crew to flyer to promote the events, so that by the time we got to the event, we were even more structured, right?
Yep.
Most of our peers weren't like that when we were doing that.
No.
They were super talented though.
Yeah.
But they didn't have that piece.
And you kind of cross right into my number 4.
Okay, go ahead.
Which is organization and professionalism.
Yeah.
Right? And so organization, that's organization, right? Like you're looking at the big picture of it all.
Yeah.
And you're attacking it as such, you know, and there's some discipline there to be able to do it. But so there's the willingness to do it and the actual ability to pull it off. And then professionalism, I mean, and we've all seen this. Like I've worked with some folks that, you know, they'll get to a show and, you know, it happens from time to time where motherfucker don't want to pay you, right?
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And how do you act in that moment?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? How do you act in that moment? Because there's 1,000,001 things that go into that situation.
Yeah.
And there's a right way to handle that and a wrong way to handle it. And then, I mean, there's people that even when you're not getting stood up for money and the shows are great, got a problem with being professional.
It's
right?
true.
And again, that ties into maybe your discipline with your diet and what you're putting in your body on tour.
Because they're not just representing themselves. You are a part of that.
You know,
now.
so let's just say, you know, and it manifests real easy. You know, you and I work together and you've got some contacts from the years you've been touring, and now you're handing them over to me, right? Yeah. And now I'm sending so-and-so that down that pipeline. Mm-hmm. And so it's that law of syllogism now reflects on me and in effect on you.
Yes.
Or maybe it doesn't reflect on you, but it could cost me the relationship to be able to book you there again.
It's true.
So, you know,
because maybe my contact doesn't want to deal with you. Mm-hmm. And they may say, well, you know, we dealt with him. He sent us some stuff we didn't like, that person. So now we got to go back to fucking with just you.
Yep.
And then now I got to book myself with them, which is more work.
Yeah. And people, you know, artists, they don't think about these ends of it when they're looking for a booking agent, you know, unless you got that one dude that just does yours and just, you know, if I just booked you, then I only got to worry about you.
Right.
But if you're dealing with someone that's booking multiple people, that person, he or she is concerned about how you're going to act.
Yeah.
Because you're meeting their contacts.
Yeah.
And those, you know, and it's like that family tree. You don't, you know, the branches just keep going out.
Yeah.
And
I've had artists do that to me, and I'm not even a booking agent. I've had guys ask me for contacts, and originally I was like, I don't know. And then I ended up giving them to them, or they ended up getting it somehow, played a show with those people. And then I talked to those people later and they were like, yeah, that dude was an asshole. We shouldn't have fucked with them.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's why I didn't want to put y'all in contact. And they were like, we'll never book them again. I'm like, I knew this was gonna happen, you know, because I know them.
Yeah. You felt
and
it.
I know you.
Yeah. And that's, 1 through 4 for sure are things that I learned the hard way.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like each one of those, I could put specifics into if I wanted to name names, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people would be real butthurt, but their butt would not hurt more than mine does right now. I'll tell you that, man. I got 1,100 miles of sit bones right now. Woo!
Okay, so number 5.
Number 5 is, I think, something that's a little more unique, maybe to how I operate. And we actually talked about it a little bit in the car earlier on the way over to Whole Foods. And I put it down as a holistic approach to the work-life balance.
Okay.
And so, it's one of those things where, right now, right? Like, we're not booking a tour this year.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people out there that want to see Blueprint performing in their town right now. And
He's doing
it
this.
ain't happening. He's right here talking to me. Here we are not doing it right together. We could be doing so much right now.
They're not.
Yeah,
No.
we're not.
Just
We're
talking.
just right here. Yeah, we're
Shooting the
just
shit.
talking. We're just getting older.
Right.
But we get it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not stressing it. I'm not like hitting you up like, we need that album, man. I gotta get this tour going, son. We ain't making no money, man. You know what I mean?
And I'm not hitting you like, Tony, I'm broke. Book me. Immediately. Put me out there.
And it transcends. We talked a little bit about Count Basie. It's the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, things we've been in this game long enough. It's like things happen the way they happen, and people got lives, and we all do other things.
Yes.
We all, if it would be great, it would be really great if you and I were multi-millionaires just from me booking your live performances.
I wish.
Yeah. I was like, damn, I gotta quit the fire department.
Yeah.
I gotta get rid of these. I can't rent these houses no more.
Damn.
Right. I'm looking at my watch. Right? Like, I don't have time for any
2020,
of this
man.
stuff.
2020, man. We're gonna get that bag. We're gonna add them M's.
It's still gonna be. I'm still gonna take these bike tours though.
Still do it.
Approach
Yeah.
to the work-life relationship, and I think it's just a reflection of as people get older, some people get comfortable, or at least they figure out what works. In their life, and just busting your ass, grinding, you got to be able to take that breath. You know what I mean? You got to have that balance where it's like, all right, I'm going to go for a little bike ride, or I'm going to go for a little drive, and it's,
or kind of like what you and I do, where I think I was maybe the first person who like, me, I'll do like a 3-month tour. And then I literally won't play for like a year.
Yeah, but that's
chill out. And
that's a good balance. Yeah, I mean, I do love that. I mean, it's
like we go hard and then we just chill out.
Yeah, and I think it works well with how it's received out there too. It's like you give it and then you pull it back, and you give it and you pull it back.
Yeah,
there's just that, and there's that natural rhythm and that natural kind of yin and yang where things just sort of happen, and everyone can feel that it's not being forced. And it's just, this is just what we do, and that's really important. And I don't think that it's not as crucial as the other ones. It's only crucial in the sense that that's the way I want my life to work. You know what I mean? I think that there's other examples. There's 2 other people out there right now. There's a musician and their booking agent who don't agree with that at all. Right.
Yes.
And it works for them. You know what I mean? But for the sort of folks that that my ideology lines up with, that's a real crucial component. It's just sort of having that space where, things come together, and it's a culmination of all the other things. Because I might not hear from you for 6 months. I'm not like, are we even on the same team anymore? Right? I'm just like, he's busy doing stuff. He's probably got 3 different records that he can't get any of them to come. It'll happen. Something, he'll call me when he needs me.
So I'm ready.
Or you're gonna hear from me because I'm riding my bike through your town. I need to get out of the rain.
Exactly. It always works out.
So that would be my top 5 though.
That's dope. Okay, so what the last question would be this: how should artists, how should they approach or pitch themselves to a booking agent?
Ooh, I didn't get this question in advance.
Yeah, this is on the spot. You got to freestyle this.
So how should they approach?
Yeah,
generically, not just me.
Just generically.
Yeah.
What do you think the best approach? Because some people will, this is the era of DMing people. And for some people that can work. Sometimes a good email could work. Sometimes face-to-face, an introduction and an invite can work. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, a face-to-face is like just again, like, how you doing? I got a show coming up this date. Here's 2 tickets, or I'm going to put your name on the guest pass. The in-person to me is worth, 10 phone calls. And then to move up that, a phone call is, I tend to think that most people in my position operate from the baseline, right? So whereas, phone calls don't really work for a lot of people anymore, they work great for me.
Yeah.
Like I don't always answer, but my voicemail, you can leave me a voicemail.
Yeah.
And I check it that day.
Dope. And
I call you back the next day at the latest, right? And some people you can't even leave. Sorry, that voicemail box is full.
So annoying.
And I'm just like, what?
Yeah, it's not your business.
Yeah, you're not on your stuff. So a phone call is really good. Generally, if I see you in person or you make a phone call, I'm going to ask you to send me an email.
Yeah.
And I want to see your live show.
Okay.
That's where it ends for me. Don't send me a message on Instagram. Don't feel free to find my phone number and text me. Yeah. Right. That's a message on Instagram is you just asking me to not take it seriously. Cause I, my girl in Australia messaged me on Instagram. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm not looking at,
book me now.
Yeah.
I'm awesome.
And you just got to recognize where the input channels lie, I think. Yeah. Where the proper input channels. And I mean, if someone reached out to me on Instagram and said, we want a blueprint here on June 27th, it's easy for me to say, thanks, give me your email. I can reply. It's not like I don't get these messages. Yeah. But you want to hit people in a way that makes it convenient for them to make a decision about you. Yeah. And if you hit them in some absurd way that they haven't requested, they're going to make that decision about you real easy. Yeah. And I hate to sound crass, but that's the way it is. I mean, we used to have label parties every year where we got the big old bin of demos that we got all year that no one had listened to, right? Yeah. No one listens to those. Yeah. We put them, and everyone would get to draw one, and we put it in and see if we could make it more than 30 seconds. And again, I'm a big proponent of people, talent is developable. Like some people are born with talent, some people can develop talent, some people can develop the talent they're born with, right? So it's real elitist to just give someone 30 seconds and turn it off, right? Yeah. That wasn't where we were making fun of the fact that you even sent a demo. Yeah. Because it's just the wrong input channel. Yeah. It's not the right way to go about it, and especially in a booking world now, I want to see the live show. Yeah. So you want to reach me, find me in person, pull right up next to me on the bike. I'm usually doing about 14, right? I got 100 pounds on me. Tony! Hey, I'm playing next week.
I seen you on Super Duty Tough Work.
Yeah. I'm playing next week in 200 miles.
You're right.
Make sure you pull off. Here's the tickets, right? Yeah. But emails I think are like the most appropriate. I don't think there's too many booking agents that aren't still using email. Yeah. I think some shy away from phone unless it's already an established contact. Yeah. And some do prefer like Twitter, direct messages, or Facebook. I have not been able to adapt over to the Facebook usage for booking. Weird.
It's hard to keep a trail, and I don't like the inbox there thing myself, but
I got rid of it. My Facebook is deactivated. I haven't been on Facebook in over a year.
Man, I know you feel great.
I don't miss nothing. Yeah, I'm out here doing a real Facebook. I mean, I got Instagram still. Yeah. It's just photos.
I think Instagram is better to me. It's like
it's the same company.
Yeah, but it's like people just cry too much on Facebook. Well, it's a little too emotional.
People aren't putting up photos that say, like, man, today was tough. I hate him.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you're not like dealing with people's grief. Yeah. And also, Instagram has what I had thought Twitter had going for it, which is that it's not a two-way street. Whereas like So when you're Facebook friends, we're mutually connected.
Yeah.
On Instagram, you can follow me. I'm gonna follow you back.
Yes, I like that about it.
So I can control what comes in, because the channels in really matter to everyone, to all of us.
Yes.
Whether you're a booking agent or a janitor or a cop or a soldier or an entrepreneur or an artist or an activist, no matter what you do, people like to control their input channels. That's why some people don't watch TV. That's why some people don't listen to the radio, right?
Yeah.
That's why some people do. So like my Instagram, it's got very little to do with hip hop music.
But you travel the world. It's really dope. You're dope following Instagram. For those who don't know, like Tony it's not just the Viking.
Yeah.
He's all over the world all the time.
Too.
Yeah.
I like to take my time. I got that work-life balance,
yes,
but that's what it is. So it's all travel. It's other travelers that I like that are taking photos traveling, and it's black and gray tattoos, something I'm clearly into as well.
Yeah.
So, and that's great, right? Because you can't even listen. I mean, you can listen to music on Instagram, but why would I do that to myself? You know, I mean, that's what Bandcamp is for.
Yeah.
Like, that's what iTunes
Spotify.
is for. Yeah.
I agree.
Instagram is so I can look at art and nature. So know your input channels.
Dope. So I guess you should let the people know where to find you, man. What's your Instagram handle for all those who are curious?
I forgot. I just changed it. I think it's Tony Caferro. I think it's
Caferro.
at Tony Caferro. It's TONY CAFERRO. You can usually find me in Buffalo, New York.
Yep.
I'm there usually most of the summer because that's the time you want to be in Buffalo.
Yeah.
If you ever want to come and visit, please do. I can hook you up with a cheap room in the hostel.
Yeah.
Or I got the Airbnb.
Yep. Mad hustles.
Yeah. I love hospitality.
Yeah.
We do a bike ride every Monday called the Slow Roll. You can find me if you go to slowrollbuffalo.org.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 to 2,000 people. It's free. It's slow. It's family friendly. We got every type of people. You've seen it.
Yeah.
And you can find me on I got a blog called Hoping for a Tailwind. .wordpress.com.
Okay.
Where I get real snarky and
you're writing about your biking adventures, travel.
I don't blog anything but bike tours, so it's It's not really very interesting when I'm just at home. I don't put anything up there. But while I'm on the road, I don't really think my life is too interesting until I'm doing these bike tours. And then it's not even me, it's the people I'm meeting that I'm writing about usually.
Yeah.
But you can also just text me at 716-553-8155.
Boom.
There it is. I'm very available.
Yeah. So get your shit together if you're at home. Don't send him nothing if you don't have your shit together.
All 5 of those things.
Yeah, we need all 5 of those.
At least the first 4. We can work on the holistic approach. Maybe me and you should start doing a workshop on the holistic approach to the work-life balance.
It's true.
For working artists.
Yeah. It's true, man. Yeah, I cleaned my gutters before you got here today, and I was just chilling doing
yard work. What's the line? You got a line. You got a lyric.
Oh, that's
something
true.
About,
y'all scared of hard work. I'm at the pad doing yard work.
Yeah, dude. As soon as you said that, I called you on the funny thing. I'm like, what song is it? What song?
Automatic, I think. It's automatic. Yeah.
It's true, man. About hard work. I'm at the crib doing yard
work. Well, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, man. Thanks for having me. I'm gonna sleep over there on the couch tonight. It's gonna be like a luxury. It's when you're out on the bike tour, like ice, leaning back, like all sorts of stuff.
Chairs,
luxury, showers. Yeah, dude. Like it's reality. I wish I could bottle this feeling because I know I'm gonna get home in a week.
Yeah.
And I'm just, within another week, I'm just going to be back in the normal.
Well, this will be out and you can watch this and you can relive it.
Yeah, it'd be cool if it came out today because then I wouldn't have to blog. I would just put this up as a blog. But
it'll take me all night to dump all this video footage.
No, it'll be much quicker for me to write 800 characters. Yeah, don't worry.
Okay, well, that's it for this week's folks. And see y'all next week.
Peace. Peace.
Listening to Super Duty Tough Work. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Follow the podcast on SoundCloud. Peace.
Shoot, I got styles already that's more complex that nobody know about. I mean, Super Duty Tough Work.